on Get Up, and it is a sneaky, huge week in the NFL. We have owners' meetings this week. We got Graziano Schrager and Dominique Foxworth to break down all that's going to be happening. Let's start with this, Graz. What's up with the Tush Push?
They decided in March to table the discussion about banning the Tush Push as a proposal that would ban this play. A lot of the people that held out didn't want to vote on it, wanted it reworded. So we'll see what the proposal looks like when the owners get it in their hands this week. It is possible they could vote to make this an illegal play.
And what they'd be voting against basically is it be illegal to push a ball carrier, which forever used to be the rule. Dominique Foxworth, should they eliminate the Tush Push?
Yeah, I think they should eliminate it, and it's not even for safety reasons or anything like that. It's because it's boring and it stinks. Like, I get that the Eagles have used it to much success and more power to them up until this point, but it encourages a style of play that we want to get away from, and a style of play that's not fun. So the Eagles have had a great time with it, I think, and no disrespect to them, they've created something that's really awesome for them, but no one wants to watch it. Run the ball, do a play action, do something more fun on 4th and short. That's all I want, is fun football.
I kind of like that thought on it, and we'll get back to that one because I want to get to the third one here, but we'll save some more time for the Tush Push. But I'm just finding out about this. Graziano, the players in the 2028 Olympics is something that they're going to vote on this week. What is this about?
Allowing NFL players to participate in flag football in the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. It would be one player maximum per team, and there's all kinds of stuff in the proposal about protection, salary cap credit if somebody gets hurt, and minimum standards for playing surfaces and all that. But it is possible that you would see NFL players playing flag football in the Los Angeles Olympics in 2028 if this passes.
I can tell you, having worked for the league for the last 9 years, flag football might be their biggest priority and their widest range of what they want to do with this. That said, it's right before the season starts, Summer Olympics. I've seen Edwin Diaz in baseball shred his knee in the World Baseball Classic. I don't want to see Tyreek Hill get injured because he beat Latvia in a flag football game. I don't need to see Zay Flowers get hurt because they finally got the best of Turks and Caicos. I'm good. There's a lot of adult men leagues and women's leagues. Let them play in the Olympics. The NFL, stick to training camp.
Latvia, by the way, is a 6.5-point underdog in that game.
Artis Urbe playing for Latvia this week.
Okay, and then finally, Graziano, this is the one I wanted to save the most time for because this is the one that fascinates me. I have been arguing for this for 25 years. They're going to vote on reseeding or redoing how they do the seeding in the playoffs.
Yeah, if this proposal were to pass, a division winner wouldn't automatically get a top 4 seed in a home game. Division winners would all qualify for the playoffs, but then they would seed it according to record. And that would be a critical difference because, you know, if you have a 10-7 division winner, a 9-8 division winner that would host what was it last year? The Vikings went on the road, right? They're 14-3.
Correct.
And they had to play on the road at the Rams, 10-7. This would not be the case under the new proposal, as you see here. If the exact standings from last year had happened again under the new proposal, you see on the right the way it would have been seeded. Rams at Eagles first round, Buccaneers at Vikings, Packers at Commanders.
I am 100% in favor of this idea. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I like anything that makes the regular season more important.
And that's what people have to understand. Owners have historically resisted this change because they love the idea that winning your division gets you a home playoff game.
Right.
But there's concern. Last year's Week 18 was non-competitive in a lot of, there were maybe 1 or 2 games that mattered. And if they expand it to 18-game regular season, that problem could only get worse. So the idea would be maybe this incentivized teams who would rest their starters in the final week of the season to not do that.
The Rams are a good example of that. They didn't have to play the last week of the season because it was the difference between getting the 3 or the 4, and they didn't think that was a big deal. If they had all of a sudden been the 6 or the 7, it would have mattered. Dominique, this is a perfect illustration of what you said last week. When I talked about de-incentivizing losing, you said, no, Greeny, you're looking at it backwards. Incentivize winning. This would incentivize winning right to the end of the season. I love it. Do you?
I mean, I get what you're saying, but I don't love this particular solution because we can't act as if there isn't a cost. Right now, the intensity of the rivalries in the division, and the fact that winning the division means something, it matters, and it makes the games more fun. And you see that different divisions in football develop different styles of play in order to beat each other, which then makes it even more exciting when we get into the playoffs. So, like, I understand. I can't disagree with you about the Week 18 problem and potentially Week 19 problem, but I do think that we have to acknowledge that it comes with the cost. And the cost is to be like all the other sports where the divisions don't matter nearly as much. And right now, I love that the divisions matter a lot. I love that in the offseason, teams are spending a lot of their time developing their roster and their schemes to beat the guys in front of them. It matters and it's fun to me.
What do you think?
I think it dilutes rivalries, like Nick is saying. I also think if you're a fan of the Cleveland Browns right now, you haven't hosted a playoff game since 1995. You haven't. But right now in May and in June and July, you're thinking, this is the year we're going to host a playoff game, and I'll be in that building. The Jets have been since 2003. The Raiders have been since 2003. Just a few years back, the Lions had that Sunday night home playoff game, and Mike Tirico was on the call and was like, this is for the generations of fans who have not seen a home playoff game. I think for the owners, they look at it and say, we have a 1 in 4 chance of having that happen. I think that still carries a lot of weight and a lot of value to those fan bases. I would hate to dilute that and say, you won the division, but you actually had less losses, so you can't have a home game. Sorry, fans. I wouldn't change it.
How about this? I don't know that this is part of the conversation, but I've heard it bandied about, that if you win the division with a sub-500 record, then you don't get the home playoff game, that would change it, that you would then be barring against the really mediocre team in the really bad division.
I mean, I think that's part of this. That would be a result of this. But
right.
No, I think they want the division winners to still get in, right? So if hypothetically in this situation, the 4th wild card team had a better record than one of the division winners, they're out of luck.
Correct.
Division winners, and the tiebreaker would go to the division winners. So like last year, Vikings and Eagles, both 14-3. The Eagles would have got the better seed
because they won their division.
Because they won their division, even if the Vikings had beaten them in the regular season.
Oh,
so
I see.
You'd still have ways to incentivize winning the division. It just wouldn't be. You'd take away that home game that Peter's talking about.
All right, so I think if we can agree on one thing, it's that we think it's a good idea communally, and I'm right. Okay, fair enough.
Our need for this man, Dan Graziano. Dan, there's a lot of gravitas with the Dan Chives. What more are you hearing on the possible details of this discussion, Dan?
It'll be interesting to see if they put it to a vote this week. Historically, Randy, owners have resisted this kind of change because they really like the idea that winning your division guarantees you a home playoff game. But there is some sentiment that if you made a change like this, it might increase the competitive level of the late season games. If you think back to last year, Week 18, really were only 1 or 2 games that mattered. A lot of teams rested their starters. If this format were to happen, the Los Angeles Rams, who were locked into their seed heading into Week 18 last year, they may have had some incentive to play their guys and make more of an effort to win the game. And then you have more games that you can feel good about putting on TV in Week 18. So it's worth paying attention to, because as the league has expanded to a 17-game regular season and ponders the idea of an 18-game regular season, finding ways to make those late season games more important, to incentivize winning in those late season games, is going to be something you see NFL owners pay very close attention to.